That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is the secret sauce giving time. Now, a lot of people have asked me, Brian, how do you make these things? Like, they sound so sonically superior to everything else on the market. Everything else here is, like, very inferior compared to what you're making with this hyper-compressed digital noise. Well, it's actually really simple. It's easy to make this stuff. You just gotta break it down into parts. I got my FL Studio here ready to go. We're gonna get down to the theory of hyper-compressed digital noise in probably a separate video. This is just a raw tutorial if you want to get going and going fast. So, let's get right to it. The first component, and perhaps most component, of hyper-compressed digital noise is digital noise. So generally, this is when I bust out my Massive plugin. We drag and drop, creates a new track. And the idea here is that you want to pick something that squeals, in general just makes a lot of noise, and something that I'm sure the programmer, the preset programmer was like, surely they're not going to use this. Surely they're not going to use it. So this looks awesome enough. Let's pick it based on the name. Okay. Now we need something a bit more obnoxious. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so the idea here, for this specific hyper-compressed digital noise, I kind of want to do like a synth metal thing, but I don't want to use a single guitar, so yeah, okay, so usually metal is written in G sharp with a bunch of incidentals. So, for an intro, yeah, that sounds familiar enough. And we can make this like a B to be like really weird. I, of course, am going to chop this up and maybe come up with our main melody based on this little progression. But, you get the basic idea. This is terrible. Okay, so that's a pretty basic beginning intro. Nothing too ridiculous. And the thing of it is samples count as digital noise because they are a digital representation of an analog noise, so you get to use them. The rules on this are definitely incredibly simple, so we'll just come up with a basic intro beat real quick. With anything metal-based, you always kind of want to have the kick, like, follow what would be the lead guitar. Okay, so because it's an intro, we don't want to spend too much time or do anything too fancy with it. So let's just shift-click our way through. This is what's killing music, by the way. Shift-clicking. And I realize I'm participating in it. This is what hyper-compressed digital noise is all about. Killing music one song at a time. Are we on the right track here? Usually I don't say this, but I think Massive needs to be turned up just a little bit. Something like that. I think something a bit more grimy would be called for here. Yes! Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we have our digital noise going. Generally, you kind of want... You might want to do fade one thing in at a time. You know, a song structure is definitely up to you. I like to do long intros. So this is where it all takes place. This is where most of your time is going to be. Finding these digital noises that complement each other. This is what's going to take most of your time. The dirty lead is my kind of like hidden bank for this type of stuff. And with harmonies, you gotta remember what works well with what notes. I generally like... Can you have two piano rolls open at one time? No. Hopefully they fix that with the newest one. But if I'm in the G sharp key, then a good harmony would probably... A good harmonic note with G sharp would probably be C sharp. Let's get a listen to how that sounds together. It sounds like crap. I love it. And also, you gotta kind of help the ears out a little bit here. You don't want everything sounding too much the same. Like, this kind of sounds the same, so... Yeah. Get that tobacco flavor going. And this one has a slide, so you kind of want to overlap those notes when you have a slide. Oh god, that sounds terrible. Why am I even doing this? And with naturals, a good... Well, what am I saying? If I remember right, we do a breakdown in C, so anything harmonious with C. Probably G, since I'm basing this on 6th, I think. 5th or 6th. Which is weird for a metal song. Usually you want to do 4ths. I'm feeling that. Okay. Now, what if we take it down an octave here? Yes! There we go. The melody can stay the same, but the harmony can afford to be changed to make it a bit more interesting. That way you don't just hear the same loop every 4 bars or whatever. Generally, just not caring about things is the way to go. Okay, so let me come up with some transitions and some leads and everything, and I'll get... Okay, so I got some basic finagling done. I changed some instrumentations around, and I got something that sounds kind of like this. So... Okay, so you get the general idea. That is our digital noise portion of hyper-compressed digital noise. Now, we march on to the next chapter, compressed. Now, what does compressed mean? In audio land, compression is a way of evening out the sound of everything. That's about as in-depth as we're going to get here. It brings up some of the harmonics of, like, any instrument, any sound, and it brings down the peaks so that everything sounds kind of flat and leveled out. If you want more in-depth explanations, there are plenty on YouTube already. So, we got this cool sound, but you noticed we were clipping pretty bad. And clipping is when a part of an instrument goes above 0 dB. You know, digital realm, we can't go above 0 dB. So, in order to help mitigate this issue, what you gotta do is compress everything. This would have cost hundreds of thousands of dollars back in the 80s, but we can do this today for around $80. So, we gotta compress all the things. So, I like to use Maximus. There it is. And we'll go for max loudness. We want plenty of saturation too, so probably. Yeah. Oh man, it's rumbling my mic, but yeah. So you can see what we're aiming for here. Yes, this is what we're aiming for here. So, we march on to the next instrument, the drums. The drums here are all on one track, so it really helps. If your setup is where, like, you mic each drum or something, it's going to be a while on this step. But I got it all routed through one, so we only need one compressor plug-in. Let's do this. Yeah, boy, that's what I'm talking about. Max loudness, you can hear everything, it rings through. So, this is going to take a bit, so I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording and come back after I'm done. Okay, I'm back, and as you notice, we now have Maximus on everything here. It's time to get to the hyper part. This is the final part of hyper-compressed digital noise. So what does hyper mean? We click on that master track, and we do what we did to each instrument, only we do it to the entire song. I also like to throw on a little equalization here, because not a lot of people can hear below about 30 hertz or so. So I like to do a roll-off there, and then another roll-off at about what would that be? About 15,000, 16,000 hertz. Make that one a little sharper for detail capturing. But we just do the same thing that we did before. We put a compressor track. We put a compressor at the final end. Here we go. Max loudness 2, of course. So this is we're tentatively there. Let's get a listen to this. Okay, that sounds pretty good, but I kind of think that it needs another round of max loudness. So we go in here, Maximus, presets, max loudness. Alright, another double dose, another drop of secret sauce, and then this should be good. I'm gonna kick it off from the double bass area, so let's give a listen. Let's listen to this. Now that is a crispy mix, I gotta say. Rick Rubin would be proud. Here we go. Oh, and another thing, what you gotta do. I always forget to save. Always save. Like the brand. Whenever you go to export, I mean, I'm gonna export in FLAC because it's the best sounding audio format that exists. It's better than WAV. Let's see. We'll go ahead and do 24-bit. There we go, clicky click, and well, it's rendering. Now, what you want to look for in a quality mastered, hyper-compressed digital noise song is how much blue there's going to be in Audacity. I'll show you once we're done here. See, that's what you want it to look like. Actually, there's a little bit of dynamic range in this. I may need to remaster that. Hold on a sec, guys. Yeah, that's a little better. There's a little less dynamic range in there. It still likes to dip every now and again, but this is what you want to see. You want to see this giant wall of blue to let you know that the song is amazing. I have no doubt that this will be probably the best song written in 2019. So, again, I thank you for watching. I hope you learned something.